Hello there and welcome to Daring Abroad once again. Today we are privileged to have the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, Simon Chelugui, to shed light on the plight of Kenyans working abroad. And this comes amid the never-ending outcry over the alleged abuse of migrant workers, especially in the Middle East. Stand by for my one-on-one interview with the Cabinet Secretary. But first, here is a teaser of what is coming up.
There is a huge scramble for African workers across the globe.
Educate Kenyans. What are some of the do's and don'ts when looking for jobs abroad?
Ensure you go through established agent, registered agent. Ensure you follow the rules of that country. Going abroad is a choice. We are discouraging any Kenyan to live on his own, just board a plane and live, trying his luck abroad. We have very little complaints from skilled labor. Majority of our issues are relating to domestic workers.
Great. We will be with the Cabinet Secretary in a moment, but before we proceed, you may be asking how many Kenyans are working abroad and where are they? Take a look. It is estimated that there are 4 million Kenyans working abroad, but not all are documented. According to the Ministry of Labour, there are about 950,000 Kenyan migrant workers in the United States of America, 186,000 in the UK, 104,000 in Saudi Arabia, and 60,000 in Uganda. United Arab Emirates has 60,000. In Tanzania, there are 55,000, Qatar 40,000, Rwanda 5,000, and India 3,000.
Majority of them are doing semi-skilled and unskilled labor activities, and others are also engaged in high-caliber skilled labor like banking, ICT, pilots in aviation sector, and we have doctors and nurses. And we even have teachers across the world. We have Kenyans in Middle East, in the hospitality sector, the transport sector, in aviation, like I would tell you, in Qatar, for example, they launched their railway system about 3 years ago. And that railway system is dominated by Kenyans. We have 2,800 Kenyans in the railway system. We have over 2,500 in the aviation sector, the entire airline of Qatar. And in UK and Europe generally, we have many nurses in UK from Kenya. And they are doing a great job. There is a lot of appreciation, acknowledgement by the United Kingdom. So Kenyans are doing a wonderful job out there in the field. And that confirms even the number, the remittances coming from those countries is increasing.
So would we know how these Kenyans end up abroad? There are some I've met out there who went there as students and then eventually got jobs. But what are the channels? How does migrant workers end up abroad?
There are 4 categories of Kenyans abroad. One, those who went there earlier, got jobs like in Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and the rest of the world, and their contracts expired but did not return back home. So they are abroad and they are either doing businesses or they got other opportunities, or they could just be stranded abroad. The other category are people who went through this normal process, government to government arrangement, through a bilateral labor agreement that we have signed with the foreign countries, and they went abroad and gotten jobs. There is an employer, there is an agent. It's a formal. The embassy knows. They register them through our embassies, our labor attaches, and they are working and earning, and they are working well. Then there are Kenyans trying their luck. They just boarded a plane and just landed there because of maybe somebody told them they are greener pastures here. Eventually, not knowing that across there, maybe the grass is not as...
It's not necessarily green.
as green as what they say. And those are the fellows who sometimes get into trouble with the security and the country's authorities. And they are also, they get to desperate levels and become vulnerable. So it's important that Kenyans be sensitized that let us work with government-to-government arrangements. Let us confirm those jobs exist. We do attestation here. Attestation means we reaffirm that that job exists, the employer exists, the pay is there, they have capacity to pay, so that as you leave, we record your name through the portal of NEA, that you are leaving, you are so-and-so, your identification are this, your next of kin is this, your background is this, where you came from, and we process your travel. We know when you are leaving, where you are going, and we even alert our embassy, our labor officer across. Because we have 5 of them, and we've designated them in the populous areas where many Kenyans are going. It's important to note at this point that we have very little complaints from skilled labor, actually none. Majority of our issues are relating to domestic workers, because of their level of education, because of the contracts they go through, they sign. Sometimes their contracts are personal, one-to-one. It's not documented, it's not official, it's not structured. So it depends on your bargaining capacity. But the skilled labor, these people are able to express themselves, they're able to argue, they are able to negotiate better terms for themselves, which even covers welfare beyond the salary.
And Waziri, what we've been seeing is challenges related to human rights. It's not just probably the salary only, but the mistreatment that some people who went to Middle East have been able to report, inhuman actions against them. Is that still the case, or how are you dealing with that? Is it a big problem?
Other than what we are doing, those initiatives, and addressing the challenges that our people are going through, molestation, abuse has been reported, and the majority of these have happened in Middle East. We do not have a problem in America. We have not had complaints in Europe and Far East. We've had only in the Gulf states. And these are: 1, denial of food, withdrawal of travel documents, they call it kafala system, criminalizing change of job. If you change and shift from one employer to another, without authority of the previous employer, it's criminalized. You can't leave the country without permission of the employer. So it becomes you're constrained, you are limited, you are not free. And some of these issues have been addressed through bilateral engagements. And our ambassadors now are actively engaged, and we are working with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I'm happy to report, Alex, that Kuwait completely remove those issues, like the kafala system. You keep your travel documents, and you are paid for work done. So if you get a better job in the neighborhood, you are free. There is no criminality. We still have about 2 or 3 countries who still practice this kind of retrogressive laws and abuse of human rights. So we are dealing with that, and in a few days, we are organizing ourselves as a country. We want to engage those countries that still maintain those old practices, so that we don't want to make erratic decision to close export of labor. Because we have some countries, we have 100,000 Kenyans in those countries. But again, we'll be aloof, remote, and insensitive to Kenyans if we look the other way and ignore the suffering of some Kenyans.
The Kenyan government has not ignored the plight of the Kenyans in the Middle East as claimed.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we've taken so many steps and many engagements and correspondence and travels. First, Parliament has traveled there, both Senate and National Assembly. They have filed their report. Our technical officers have also been engaged. We are now having visits from those countries on 1st of November coming to us, and again discussing the welfare and the rights of the Kenyan worker. There is a huge scramble for African worker across the globe.
Why?
Because the population elsewhere is aging. Number 2, the work ethics of the African worker has come of age. They are committed, they are skilled, they are knowledgeable, they can handle. And therefore, the onus is on us to prepare our people for those opportunities abroad, to prepare our young generation who are now, the unemployment level in our country is 6.6%. So we have to deal with that unemployment, But through a structured negotiation, through structured engagement with those countries, because we are not, it's a win-win. It's a service we are rendering and they pay for the service. So through BLA, through government to government, through bilateral engagements, we will be able to push for the interests of our people across the globe.
Interesting and timely insights there about the plight of Kenyans working abroad. Now allow us to take a short breather. We have more with the Cabinet Secretary right after the break. And Waziri, we know agents have played a role in the migration of Kenyans to, various parts of the world. And there have been accusations, some could be fake agents, others may be unscrupulous agents or just agents who are not doing their right work. To what extent is the government regulating the agents? Is it working?
I would say yes, Alex. One, by establishing a National Employment Authority, we officially brought everybody under one roof. And what NEA does is to receive applications of potential agents, vet them through interagency team, where we have ministries involved, the security team are involved, the foreign affairs are involved, and even the relevant ministries who are, if there are agencies involved in recruitment of teachers, recruitment of nurses, skilled labor, unskilled labor. So we have various actors in vetting, and they also pay a fee for this, for them to qualify. And there is inspection of their facilities, returns, so they file returns with NEA, how many people they have been able to process, did they go through the right channel, did they register with NEA, so that in case of distress from a worker who was exported, then we're able to know how to trace back, how to repatriate, and how to manage. But the challenge has been, majority of those cases went on their own abroad. We just came to know when this problem arose.
And on that note, actually, Waziri, educate Kenyans. What are some of the do's and don'ts when looking for jobs abroad?
The do's: ensure you go through established agent, registered agent. Number two, ensure that that job is attested by the Ministry of Labor. So once the agent has processed all those jobs and opportunities, they come now, because they come to government, the ministry, to confirm. So when you attest, we post it. It's now registered. If you go to their website, you will find that so and so has been registered and is now recognized as a worker abroad. Go through pre-departure training. If you're going to London or UK, there are certain behavior other than the skill that you have, the knowledge you have, technical know-how. There are other mannerisms and behavioral expectations
and cultural issues, maybe
cultural issues of the British. There are people here who live, they like whistling and maybe spitting on the streets, and they may be shouting and all that. These are things that are seen to be foreign or very alien in those countries. You go to other religious, like in Middle East, majority of those employers are Muslims, and they are a certain way of dressing, they are a certain way of the food they eat, the behavior, all this. Respect their religion. You may be a Christian, they have no problem with that, but respect their religion. One is the prayer time. What do you do when it's prayer time? All this. So pre-departure training gives you additional information about the destination country you're going. That helps you to settle down. The other do's is ensure that when you leave the country, you report to our embassy abroad. And if we have a labor attaché, make sure that you report, confirm you are now in the country, and therefore they will take note. The don'ts means ensure you don't steal, you don't follow the rules, ensure you follow the rules of that country, both employer rules, labor rules, and even the country's rules, and ensure that you have a valid contract.
What do you tell those who critique us that why are we exporting labor? We should have people work here, build their country. Why are we even talking about exporting labor? And we keep saying people need employment here in Kenya?
Before COVID, our economy, through assessment by Kenya National Bureau of Standards, confirmed that our economy then could absorb 800,000 people. We produce approximately 1.2 million young graduates from various levels, university, tertiary institutions, TVETs and the rest. Meaning 1.2 million minus 800,000, we are left with 400,000 young people. Now, these are fellows who have papers, they have gone to school, they are energetic and ready to go, and then there are no jobs. This becomes a social problem. This becomes even a security issue. And so what is there is to look for opportunities internally and externally. We can absorb 800, the other 400, we can export. Exporting is not brain drain. We are actually exporting skills, and we are also getting exposed to international standards. Anybody working in UK, these nurses who are going to go to UK, after 6 years, they will work for 3 years, and with a one-term renewal of 3 years, that makes 6 years. When they come back here, those will be the most sought after nurses.
And that's part of skills and knowledge transfer.
That is skills and knowledge transfer. Other than that, they also get better pay. They also remit funds. They remit now as we speak. In the last 6 months, we've been able to receive approximately 200 billion. Now, what does this remittance mean? These are funds going to families, Kenyan families, from their sons and daughters working abroad and their family members. Now, when these family members receive this money, they will walk into a mall, they'll shop they'll go to a supermarket, they'll buy clothes, they will buy food, they will access medical care, they will pay transport, there will be mobility, they sustain our transport sector, they will patronize our hotels and hospitality. You go to Masai Mara, half of those patrons are locals, meaning our middle level has come of age. So in effect, this has overtaken our traditional foreign exchange earners like tourism, like coffee and tea. This remittance has overtaken. So this is a sector that we must give the highest consideration in our policy and budgetary consideration. Going abroad means you must be disciplined, you must be focused, you must be determined, you must have a purpose, you must have a direction, and you must have a dream. In the end, what do we count of you when you went abroad? Is there any difference? There sometimes we have a local saying where I come from that those who try are not the same as those who don't. So we must distinguish those who tried and left so that we inspire and encourage the next generation and the other group that is coming, because we will not be abroad forever. Finally, we'll come back home. Going abroad is a choice and is also driven by a purpose. You have so much to do at home. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're going to do, that ranching you're doing, that technology you're doing, you can do it here. Maybe the circumstances and the support structure may not fit into what you want to do abroad. But if you started, you tried and looked for support, you could even actually ask those partners abroad to set up here. And eventually, you will succeed at home much faster and better, and you will impact on so many people. So there are many reasons that drive us abroad, but we are saying if you are ready, willing, and you feel strong enough to pursue, because it comes with challenges. Settling down, culturally they are different. You do not have a starting point. Everybody is a stranger abroad. So you must be a very, very strong-willed person to dare abroad. And once you gather enough courage to dare abroad, then you must have a purpose, a serious purpose, so that in the end, when you come back, we can see the difference.
Quite enlightening, and I like the parting shot. Don't board a plane to go abroad just to try your luck. And that's how we end the show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. in order to be up to date with our inspiring, unmatched, feel-good content. And there is no subscription fee. Until we meet again next week, many thanks for watching.